Senator Poggemiller, I can see that you're making an effort here to have a worst-case scenario option here. But I'm wondering if you can tell us how far off we are with our budget. We just passed a whole bunch of budget bills today, and I'm wondering if you can confirm for me. It looks to me by some of the spreadsheets I've seen that we're $3 billion out of sync here with the revenues we're projecting, and I'm wondering if you can confirm that, or if you can just tell me how far apart we actually are from having a completed budget. I think I'd like to know, and I think Minnesotans would like to know.
Mr. President.
Senator Poggemiller. Mike.
Mr. President, Senator Ortman, the budget that we have sent to the governor is contains higher levels of general fund spending reductions than the governor, and includes permanent revenue over the governor's budget, and puts us in a position to resolve the budget deficit temporarily in the first 2 years, but unfortunately does not attain four-year balance. Because as you know, the Senate budget, to attain four-year balance, you needed to have the level of the Senate cuts of $2.3 billion, or, pardon? $2.3 or $2.4 billion, and you need a $2.2 billion tax increase. We have, in our consultations with the House, we have been unable to attain either the size of revenue necessary under the Senate budget, or the size of cuts under the Senate budget. As you know, the Senate had the largest number of largest size of budget reductions of the governor and the House. But the Senate had the only budget that was balanced for 4 years, which was our legal requirement. It appears, and it's bothersome for me to have to say that this is the case, it's unfortunate, that it appears that the Senate will not be able to attain a four-year balanced budget based on the House and the governor's budgets. So I think we're very close. If we can, with our agreement with the House, which is the largest amount of general fund reductions, higher than the governor, and $1 billion of permanent revenue, I think we come the closest of anybody to having a honest, stable budget solution for the difficult times that we're in.
I appreciate the explanation, but I'm not sure it answered the question. I do think that the Senate presented a balanced budget. I didn't agree with it. I know the governor didn't agree with it. The House didn't agree with it. The education accounting shifts have been taken off the table by the House. The tax increases have been taken off the table by the governor. Using the tobacco settlement funds for borrowing have been taken off the table by the Senate and the House. And so that, by my math, leaves us $3 billion short to pay for all the spending we just did. And I think Minnesotans should be able to know what's our plan. I think we should be able to say. And it's no surprise that Minnesotans are unhappy with what's happening here in St. Paul. The last poll showed a 26% approval rating. We've got to get up and over this hurdle. I believe we can do it. We need to have some negotiations with the governor, and we have to have a realistic view of what we can get done and what we can't get done. But to pass these bills and insist somehow we don't have to deal with the spending side or the revenue side is not responsible. And so to say that we're going to take the worst case scenario and pass a lights on bill and hopefully we can keep the government going even if we get past the biennial budget deadline does not seem to be a very good solution. And I don't think that we should put the safety net under ourselves and say that we've really accomplished anything by doing it, because we haven't. I think we should vote no on this. We should go back, talk to the governor, work with the House, and find a better budget that either meets the revenues that we have, or we need to go and find a different solution, use the tobacco settlement money, use the accounting shifts, but we don't have to accept failure, and I can't vote for failure.
Mr. President.
Senator Poggemiller.
Mr. President, Senator Ortman, I want to assure you and other members that there are and will continue to be discussions with the House and the executive branch. And this is absolutely not an acceptance of failure. Matter of fact, we're ahead of the schedule in terms of getting a full budget to the governor's desk. We will find out in the next couple of days which pieces of that he will accept and which he will not. We know that he has already signed the budget bills that we have put on his desk. We know that the one that he did veto, he will sign now because we took out an objectionable item. So I think we're down the path. Things are going pretty well. I couldn't agree more that there has to be some acceptance that we're going to have to deal with both the revenue side and the expenditure side. And I just would argue that this is something I heard earlier today, that this bill is not an acceptance of failure. This is a bill that says, look, we need to plan for all contingencies. If there's a flood, if the flood water's rising, you want to take out flood insurance. So this is kind of an insurance policy. But you don't stop sandbagging. You don't stop trying to protect your home at the same time that you're sandbagging. That you get your insurance policy. This is an insurance policy. We're making a statement that we absolutely do not want disruption of vital services in the state. But no one is stopping from working hard. I've been working very long hours. I know you voted yesterday, I believe, to adjourn for the session. I thought that was an improper vote. I didn't think that was a wise vote, Senator Ortman. This was on the Vanderveer motion. I was surprised because you had been arguing that we ought to keep our nose to the grindstone and get the work done. So you're voting on the same day that we're meeting with the governor to try to get the work done. You are voting to throw the towel in. I just think that was not wise, and I would not support throwing the towel in. I do not think we ought to give up, but I do think we ought to have an insurance policy. If we can't get members of the House and the Senate to accept revenue or deeper cuts, we're going to have an unbalanced budget. We have put up the governor's suggestion for deeper cuts. There just are not the votes. We have put up gambling. There aren't the votes. What did have the votes was $1 billion in revenue, $960-some million in revenue, that Minnesotans, through poll about 2 weeks ago, say that they would accept. Fair taxes on the upper tier, the highest earners in the state, and some liquor taxes. And Senator Ortman, I think they believe that your proposal that is in that bill to collect on interest over, to tax interest over a certain percent is a good idea too. So we know that the legislature will support that type of revenue. I believe the Senate will override the governor's veto of that. Don't know about the House right now. I guarantee you that they have not given up in the House. They believe, as do I think most members of the Senate, that you need some permanent revenue to stabilize the budget.
Senator Poggemiller, I'm not sure I'm a player yet. I think that was what I was told is, boy, if I wasn't working on Sunday, I'm not really a player. And, well, maybe I will be a player this year because maybe I will be here on Sunday. Senator Poggemiller, I think it's very unfortunate that you want to talk about what's happening tonight in terms of crisis management and an insurance policy and sandbags, because this is a crisis of your own making. We knew about the budget deficit in January. It's now May 13. We've had 5 months to work with the governor on this, 5 months to be productive, and now at the last minute, you're willing to say, worst case scenario. See, I thought that the lights on provision, and this is why I'm standing up here today, shows an unwillingness to compromise with the governor. You're willing to go into special session, you're willing to sit here all summer and leave Minnesotans wondering if we are going to do our work and balance the budget. Just let them wonder. Well, we sit here and grandstand and tell the governor we will not compromise. That's what this bill is tonight. It says the Senate DFL will not compromise with the governor. So you can say this is like flood insurance, Senator Poggemiller. To me, this looks like failure. This isn't a crisis that was natural. It was man-made. It was man-made.